All right. In 3, 2, 1. My man, dude, how are you, good sir?
Peachy keen jelly bean, fine and dandy like sour candy. Just
How was the stream
whittling.
this morning?
It was good. I middle of the week, tough week. Like the Thursdays are tough because I'm far away from my day off, but I'm far away from Monday, so I'm just out in the middle of it. And I had to poop. I had to poop at like 1 o'clock, and it just stayed with me until 3.
Why didn't you just poo it out?
I'm a long pooper.
Me too. So hop on your phone, jump in chat, talk to people. What are you talking about?
I've done it once.
Dude, I do it all the time.
In 6 years of partnership, in 6 years of streaming, I have once stopped to crap, and I killed the stream, and I instantly went in and went into chat on the phone, and there's like a hype train while they were like rooting me on with like.
What are you doing, dude?
But that's the thing is it's rare. It's a rare occurrence because I'm a shy pooper.
What is wrong, bro? I poop like 3 times a stream, and everybody knows it. I literally just jump out there and go, "Hey man, I got to poop. I'll be right back," and I'll talk to people on the phone.
But it's like 25 minutes for me.
Okay, I'm not in there for 25 minutes.
I'm pins and needles, like numb assing it by the time I'm done. There's no way around it. I'm a long form shy pooper.
Jesus Christ, don't get me wrong. I definitely take my time pooping. You know, I'll scroll through the TikTok, but I'm not a 25-minute guy. Jesus, pick it up.
I can't. It's just that. Listen, there's no sense that you don't stop a sausage halfway coming out and just be like, your time's up. It's more important to me to wait it out and make sure that I'm finished than it is for me to rush it. And then once when I was a kid, I rushed it and I was like, okay, well, I just got to get out of here. And then I marker dotted the inside of my pants, and my dad grabbed my underwear and held them up in front of me and was like, this is what we have toilet paper for. And I was like 12 years old, I was just like, fuck it. I'll just stay in the toilet as long as I got to stay in the toilet to get it done.
So you're a take your time kind of guy.
I can't. Yeah, if I rush it, I'll close up and it'll just take longer. So it's just I concede that it's gonna be 20 minutes of just wait it out, go to Reddit.
That's too much scheduling out for the day. By the way, what an incredible way to start a podcast. I mean,
it's on brand. I'm okay with it.
And you know what a lot of people probably don't know is this is the first time you and I have ever talked. So this is
our first real exchange.
This is a pretty great segue into our friendship and us meeting and chatting for the day, which is amazing. But you're saying, Thursday's kind of like your longest day, like kind of like that medium day for you. So like we talked about a little bit before is Sunday you take off, right?
Yep. I do.
And so, what a lot of people I feel like don't know is having that one day off for a mental break is such an important thing when it comes to doing this as a full-time job. But I know that your situation is a little bit different because, dude, you're a family man.
It's true.
How is that?
It's true.
What you were saying, early on in the day, Sunday was the perfect day for you. Is it still the perfect day?
Yeah. Okay, so it used to be better in the before times when things sucked less all the time. Sunday was good because it meant that the kids weren't at school. It meant that my wife, who's in graduate school, probably didn't have an online class that she had to see to.
Right.
It meant that my friends who worked normal jobs at places outside their home had the day off, so we could do dinners, or we could go to amusement parks or minor league ball games. I still like locking down Sunday. I used to like watching sports, football would hit during the season. And so so Sundays were for football.
Yeah.
So I still I'll keep it there because I waited tables for a really long time, and there's probably a decade worth of NFL Sundays that I just had to miss because I was serving brunch to rich people.
God.
And I just kind of refuse to do that now.
I feel that. So Sundays you're out on the couch or out and about. I mean, pre-pandemic, out and about and doing things with friends and family and all that kind of good stuff.
If I can, I try really hard. Back in the day, I would try hard to get out of the house. But it's also my day. It's my day to get stuff done with a clear head because I'm a morning streamer.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a morning person. but I picked the morning streaming slot because I didn't want to go up against like the people who inspired me to stream.
Okay.
So like your Northern Lions, Northern Lion and Cobalt Streak and Lethal Frag and all these guys who were like titans in the industry. And when I came in, I was just like, well, what can I do at a bare basic level? What can I do to separate myself from them? And I was like, well, shit, I can start by not streaming the same time they stream.
Of course, because there goes a big chunk of that viewership.
Right. So for me, the game was The Binding of Isaac. And I was like, when are there no English speaking Binding of Isaac speakers playing? And it was like, oh, well, it's an American East Coast morning. And so I wake up as somebody who hates getting up in the morning. For 5 years now, I get up at 7ish in the morning and am live by 8:30.
Dude, what?
And I hate it. So Sunday's my only day. I hate it. I absolutely hate getting up like that. I tried to push it into night times and people were just like, well, I don't watch you during the night times. I'm sorry. I go watch and then list people off and I go, that's fair.
Yeah,
so
I mean, of course it's fair. Yeah.
So Sunday's my only day to get things done with a clear head because I can sleep until I wake up, go grab a cup of coffee, not have to perform for 7 hours, and then pivot and be like, and now I'm going to spend 2 hours balancing my checkbooks.
Right. Yeah. I completely understand the Sunday clear headspace because for me, I'm in that same boat. You know, I don't have as many miles on the engine as you do when it comes to being in this industry for so long, which is, you know, another awesome. I'm truly privileged to have you on because you've been in it for such a long time. You've got so much more experience, and it's awesome to just. I'm super excited to be able to sit here and pick your brain a little bit.
No problem.
But yeah, you know, the Sunday thing is, you know, again, I'm on that same boat. I wake up whenever. I don't have an alarm. I get everything kind of scheduled out and planned out for the week at my own pace. And then it's just a day of relaxing. And it used to not be like that, man. I used to take every day. Every day was on. No days off every single day. But I was doing 2-a-day streams. So I was doing, whenever I first went full time, I was doing 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then I would take a 2-hour break and I would go 5 or 6 p.m. until midnight, 2 a.m. depending on the day. And I did that for the better part of a year, and then I ended up after that like kind of like pushing things back a little bit more, and then finally now like with all these different adjustments and with everything that's been happening in the world and the different avenues that kind of things that things have kind of started to shift to, where I'm doing a lot of podcasts during the day and streaming at night and still being able to put out content and stuff like that. You know, we've really shifted the schedule from that, so now I'm a 6 p.m. to midnight 1 a.m. kind of guy, and then I do this obviously throughout the day. So
cool.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting talking with people and their schedules and what made them go with that, because again, you talked about how the people that influence you to stream, they had their certain time slots, and I went through a process too where I was like, okay, I want to maximize as much streaming as I possibly can without, you know, with certain windows of where I can really capitalize on when people aren't really watching the big names, right? And so that's why I ended up with a couple of different schedules that I was at right now, or at that time. But yeah, man, it's super crazy to hear people's schedules. So you're 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, and I do that Monday through Saturday, and I'm toying with the idea of actually taking 2 days off a week now. One is so good, but it really just becomes a honeydew list. Like my relaxing is just getting stuff done that I know I won't get done during the week.
Same, dude.
But it's still not like I never like kick my feet up and just watch TV all day.
Right.
But for right now, I'm still 6 days a week, and I putzed with that. Like I screwed with all sorts of different things. It started off as 3 days a week. I did like Monday, Wednesday, Friday for like 3 hours at night to start. And then at one point I tried to mimic what Tim the Tatman was doing, where it was like 4 hours in the morning and then a big break in the middle and then 4 hours at night. Right. That didn't work. And ultimately I adopted this. I knew that there were people who were passionate about the game that they wanted to watch Isaac. But I also knew I couldn't steal viewers from people who were already established, and so I took up this role of being like the morning waiting room. So all these people who wanted to watch their guys when they got home would unabashedly come in and say, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but you're my Lars Fest waiting room. You're my Labrizzi waiting room. And I was like, you're here. I don't care why you're here.
Dude,
just be, yeah, fine. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Done.
That, it's so fucking funny that you say that because a lot of my morning stream titles for a long time. So I always just give free reign unless like I hate a title, but I give free reign to like my mods to make my titles for me. Like whatever you want, dude, whatever you think's funny.
Sure. In my mind, titles don't really matter.
They
like
don't.
People get cutesy with it, but
yeah, they don't. And so, but for the longest time, every morning stream was Tim the Tapman waiting room. Like every single morning stream was a title, no matter what, because I was live like an hour before him, and then we would get like some influx of people, but again, it never really mattered truly. Like titles don't mean anything. We did just touch on it a little bit. You are a family man, dude. How many kids do you have? Two. How old are they?
9 and 6-year-old, 2 boys.
Dude, how is the dynamic of full-time streaming with a family? 2 kids in a pandemic. Like what?
Oh yeah,
dude. I mean, what a night! It's got to be a nightmare, right?
That's the hour all by itself, if that's what you want to talk about. So it would be weird. It's like you mentioned. I've been at this for a hot minute, and so we discovered today. Like I hadn't thought about it in a while, but the first video that I was ever in on YouTube aired 10 years ago this February.
Dude,
so first YouTube.
You've been in it for a minute, bro.
I've been in and out of it for a decade, mostly in it, but I've been around at this point for a decade. I've got viewers who started watching me in middle school who have left graduate school and are starting their careers.
That's crazy.
I don't. There's nothing else I want to do. Like that's been it's been such a weird pinball-y journey that like I found myself in different spots where it looked like content creation wasn't going to be it, but I was never leaving the space.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's coming up on 10 years, and so as long as my eldest son has been alive, I've been doing some form of this. So it's never been like daddy was an accountant.
Yeah.
And then he stopped being an accountant because he just didn't want to stop playing video games.
Yeah.
I've never had to make that sales pitch,
dude. What? And I don't want to get you too off topic, but 10 years ago, the thoughts of doing this for a full-time job is nowhere near what it is today. Dude,
we didn't believe people when they said they made money.
No, nobody did.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody. I mean, even think about how many people now still don't believe that you can make money at doing this and this being a job. I mean, granted,
that was the thing, though, is that like you could tell, like back in the day, like Machinima YouTube 10 years ago type stuff. Machinima Respawn directors, like featured directors, were going like, "Can you guys believe I got a check for this?" And it's like, "What do you mean? Like not real money though?" Because we knew what our YouTube channel was making,
right? And
we're like, our YouTube channel makes like $11 a month,
right? Yeah.
And you'd hear guys say like, "Oh no, I bought a top of the line gaming rig."
Yeah.
Or like, "Oh no, I paid for my semester of college." And it's like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I bought a new car. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, we thought they were just full of shit. And then all of a sudden, like CNanners gets interviewed by CNN and they say he's making like 130 grand a year. And I was just like, that's horse shit. He's got to be padding those numbers. There's no way. Like, I get it. He's the biggest guy in the space, but there's no way the biggest guy in the space is making more than my dad, who's a postmaster.
Yeah. Holy hell, your dad's a postmaster?
Retired, yeah, but that was my idea. Of like he was an adult in charge at his business, and he wasn't making as much as the guy who plays Minecraft and Call of Duty. Like,
what are you talking about? I'll never forget a great, still my best friend to this day. A mod, he's fucking awesome. His name's Cody, and in high school, this is in high school, bro, like 2011, 2012, is when I graduated. And yeah, you're old. I
am old.
And I remember in 2011 he was a senior and I was a junior, and I remember him whenever he graduated high school, he ended up buying a Dodge Challenger with Halo tournament winnings money. Like,
Oh, it's badass.
which I was like, like even at that time, I was like, "There's no way, bro. Like you've been saving up on the side, like doing some other shit, like whatever." He's like, "No, like that was all from playing
Just from
Halo
that.
tournaments at that time." Like that's crazy. That's absolute madness. Like, so to hear that you've been in the game for that long is truly incredible. Like I think it's so fascinating.
It's what's funny too is that when we got into it, I thought we were too late. Like
really?
I saw it for YouTube. I thought we were too late, and then I came back to Twitch. Like my wife had an illness, and I'm sure we'll get to it at some point. But I had to leave for a year, and I came back to Twitch, and I was like, I'm too late. And
Damn.
both times with like YouTube and Twitch, I thought we were too late, and it turns out like the YouTube channel, which I'm not affiliated with anymore, but the YouTube channel has well over 1 million subs, and then the Twitch channel, like I signed a contract with Twitch this year,
Right.
and bought a house, and
Dude.
and all of it was me going, I got here too late. And I'm like, oh well, I'll do my best. And then like as I'm doing it, Ninja goes and plays with Drake, and it's like,
right.
oh no, we are just getting started.
Yeah,
Shit, I thought it would. I thought
we're
past
early.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. So it's been weird. Even in 2011, I thought I'd gotten in too far behind the curve.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought I'd screwed up and waited too long to get involved.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's absolutely insane. To hear that is true. It's shocking. Because 10 years ago, this was something that I would have if you would have said like, hey man, like in 10 years from now, like you're gonna be playing video games full time, I'd be like, no, you're lying. Like I'll be playing video games on the weekend probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to it. How is balancing life at home with a family and streaming all the time? Obviously your schedule has to be set up accordingly, but how does things what's a normal day for you with the fam?
Well, again, it helps that there's never really been anything else.
Right.
So even when I thought that content creation wasn't going to be it for a while, I started trying to do entrepreneurial things that were still in the space. So I was still in the office for the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. I wake up at 7. I go downstairs, I make coffee. Like when I'm really good, I wake up at like 5:30 and I go to the gym. In the before times, I'd go to the gym from like 6 times. In the before times, I go to the gym from like 6 to 7:15.
Okay.
Then I come home, shower, get in the chair between 8 and 8:30, stay until 3, take lunch in the middle of the stream, like I just eat on camera, which I always thought was weird, but there have been very mukbangy like chat sent me a whole bunch of food, and they just like describe it to us, fat man. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's delicious and cheesy and very truffly and all that jazz. And so I go until 3, I stop. It's hard to describe to people what like a 7-hour stream day is like, but my head rattles because I've got like a baritone voice and it just shakes the bones in your skull. And so like by the time I'm done, I either do the 1,000-yard stare for like an hour. Like when you dinged me on Discord, I was face down in my bed with just like somebody's stream on my phone, and I heard Discord go off, and I was like, oh yeah, it's gotta be close to 4.
Yeah, that's today.
So I just kind of rolled off the bed. It's either I do the 1,000-yard stare or I fall asleep for about an hour.
Right.
And then I rally and I go downstairs and cook dinner or help my wife wrangle kids and help her cook dinner.
Yeah.
Go outside, stand in the sun, drink a beer, come back in, do dinner, get the boys in bed with her, like help her get the boys in bed and do dishes and all that jazz. And then I've got about 90 minutes where she's reading the boys' bedtime stories, where if I do need to go buy a new piece of equipment on Amazon and do like comparisons and reviews, or jump into Photoshop to pull together a piece of social media post or something. Like I have 90 minutes to get work done.
Right.
And then I get about 20 minutes with my wife to sit and watch one episode of like Letterkenny. And then like you set the mood just in case there's going to be some kissy face afterward.
Yeah, for sure. Letterkenny is definitely the way. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then after that, if I'm being responsible, I'm rolling into bed around 10 so I can be rested to get the next day going. If I'm being really responsible, I'm in bed by like 9:30. If I'm being irresponsible, I throw caution to the wind and I stay up till midnight, but then I know I'm going to be going the next day, starting my stream at 8, but feeling like it's already noon.
Right. For sure.
And I just have to contend with that. I just have to like rise above that and start the day like, hey everybody, what's going on? fuck. You know, it's like
yeah. I did, dude. That's how I felt. That exact thing was how I felt whenever I was doing like the 9 a.m. stream. Like no matter what, that was every day. That was how I felt. I mean, after like the first week, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I'm trying real hard, like to. So one of the big defining things for me was when I first started coming back to streaming. Like my comeback, I'm gonna do this as a job comeback was after the first San Diego TwitchCon.
Okay. And
so, and we can get into the whole why I had to leave thing, but I was convinced at that TwitchCon to come back to it. And I have a friend who is like a super viewer. He's a whale in a couple of chats, and he's a super viewer who just watches a shitload of Twitch. And he and I co-founded companies that survive off of the Twitch ecosystem. And
yeah, I definitely want to talk about those too.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we were working on all of that, and he was like, you should go back to streaming in some form or another, because he was one of my most adamant viewers on top of being my business partner and my friend.
Right.
And while we were at TwitchCon, I hadn't streamed in a year. I had my partner tell me I should do it. My wife tell me I should do it. And then while we were there, I was at a little meetup with a couple of friends. Next to me, I've got like the guy who made the music for The Binding of Isaac. I've got the guy who made Nuclear Throne. And then I've got a couple of other like casters around me.
Right.
And this girl walks towards me. And at this point, again, I haven't streamed in a year. And I assume that she's trying to get through me to these people who matter, because I'm just some guy now.
Yeah.
And so I try to get out of her way, and she comes over, and I try to get out of her way again, and she comes over, and I'm like, ma'am, listen, I'm sorry. I don't know who you're trying to see, but if you just tell me, I'll get out of your way.
Yeah.
And you can go talk to whichever person over here is your person. And she went, I'm sorry, Taffy? And I said, get the fuck out of here. You know who I am.
Somebody knows me still?
Right. I was shocked. I was absolutely like clenched up. And I was like, how? It's like the old guy cutting wood in the mountains near a cabin, and some girl walks up and goes, Taffy? And I'm like, how do you know that name? Like, I was so caught off guard that I hugged her like 4 times.
Yeah.
And then just gave her swag out of my bag that I'd been picked. Not even my stuff. It was just stuff I picked up from booths at TwitchCon. So I was like, I feel like I should give you something. And I just handed her shit that I'd picked up from like the Corsair booth. And I'm like, here's some buttons and cufflinks and shit. And after that, I was just kind of like, oh shit. Yeah, this feels really good. I'm gonna go back to it. And then there was a lot of experimenting, and I was really close to bankrupt at one point, but it caught right as I was about to slam into the side of the mountain. And it was scary. It was scary in a lot of spots.
That's definitely a big thing to think about. Is a lot of people really will give up when they're that close to failure, as opposed to keep going. And I always think back to like, I always remember seeing a picture of somebody digging a tunnel, and they quit and they turn around like inches before they hit the cave full of diamonds. Right.
If they just hit it one more time, the shovel would have broke through, and
just really stuck with it, man. And that is that's wild to hear that you were that close to not making it, you know. And
I've been off and on, but I've been like at that point partnered for 3 years and streaming for 4.
On Twitch, correct?
On Twitch,
right? Okay.
And I was at a place where between just spreading myself thin and entrepreneurial endeavors, like Twitch was bringing in money, but I wasn't sustaining on it.
Okay.
And I was just going at it full time, head down, doing the best I could. And I did the math, and I was like 6 weeks away from bankruptcy. Like 6 weeks away from being literally not a dollar to my name, flat broke.
Yeah. God.
And then all of a sudden, a couple of viewers just decided I mattered. Like it was just I mentioned, I was just like, I never wanted to make my money problems the focus of the stream, because what a huge mood killing.
Of course.
Like, oh, chat, you know, you're responsible for making sure that I meet all my adult responsibilities, correct?
Yeah.
Let me finesse you for some money.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of one foot in front of the other, and then one day if it has to stop, I'll pick what's most important, and then with the rest of the time that I freed up, I'll go get a job, but I'm not going to do it until I have to. And so with like 6 weeks to spare after years of trying, I was just like, shit, I'm almost done.
Wow.
And then like 2 viewers over a weekend just went, no, we need you to not go away. Here's several $1,000s.
Yeah.
And other people went, oh, is he on the verge of going away? And I was like, teary-eyed. I was like, you have no idea how much this means. This means I get to keep doing this. And the viewership went, shit, if we don't support him, he might go away. Here, fat man, money. Just don't go.
Man.
Here.
Your forehead.
Yeah, here. In return for letting me do like my henna my name on your dumb head, or something stupid. But in return, here, I'll give you cash. Don't go. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was like I had 1 or 2 good months. Like I had 1 or 2 ape shit months that were just double what I'd made on any month before in a row. And I was like, I turned to Amber and I was like, I don't know, my wife.
Yeah.
I turned to Amber and I was just like, I don't know what did this, and I don't know if it'll stay, and I don't know what prompted it, but for 2 months we're taken care of. And that was almost 3 years ago now.
That's crazy. That's so insane to hear.
I've made my monthly burn every month since then, at least. That's
awesome to hear.
Just a faucet turned on. And then the crazy thing is I didn't do anything to do it. Like it wasn't anything where I had some flash of brilliance that was like, this is how I'll stand out and I'll monetize it. And people will line up to give me their hard-earned ducats. And it's like,
that says a lot about who you are as a person, though, because no one's going to support some dog shit human. You know,
I agree.
Like that,
like it's, you know, that's play our cards on the table about the state of Twitch at any given time. Yeah, that's
absolutely
people. Well, no, let me be totally clear. There are absolutely some dog shit people that get a ton of support on Twitch. Of
course, there's plenty of them, and I'm definitely on board with not naming any names, but without question, there are a vast majority. I'm gonna go with, actually, as a matter of fact,
especially in this, like, I still count myself in this weird blue collar area where it's like, this is all I do for a living, but I also am not rich.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I don't show up, I'm very quickly like, hey, I hear during the pandemic Amazon's hiring, so I guess I'll go get COVID and deliver packages.
Yeah, whatever. I know exactly what you're talking about when you say the blue era, the blue era area of blue collar area of Twitch, where, you know, if I take a day off that isn't warranted or isn't one that, you know, is has an absolute reason for it,
you can explain it to people.
Dude,
yeah,
I'm like, oh my god, like what, dude, like what's gonna happen? Like I took like 2 days off, no, as a matter of fact, I took 2 days off a little while back, but I was freaking out during that, and it overflowed into yesterday. I was making some chicken. I was cooking chicken, and I bit into one, and I was like, it felt like it was undercooked. And my mind immediately went to, oh my god, what if I get food poisoning or like salmonella, like, and I'm out for like 3 or 4 days? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, it's crazy how much of this area goes on in your brain all the time.
That was the thing too, is like cons back. If you remember cons,
R.I.P. to those. Yeah.
I love the hotels.com commercial where it's like, do you remember places? And it just starts showing pictures of places out. Places. It's like, oh, that's a place. Oh, that's a lovely place.
I remember places. Those are cool.
I remember places. And so, people used to say like, oh man, are you excited to take your week off to go to such and such con? And I was like, man, I'm going to be gone a week, which just means I'm starting probably $1,000 in the hole.
Right. Yeah.
And then airfare, and then hotel, and then food. So you're talking about like this week vacation is going to cost me, you know, $3,500. So no, I'm not super geeked about not being in the chair.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it is kind of a crazy thing to think about. in that aspect where everybody gets super hyped about it. You know, especially as your community. You know, your community gets hyped to see you, right? Which is really cool, obviously, to do. But like you said, if you're not in the chair, you're not doing your job. And and as fun as they are, like the IRL streaming out, have you done any of that in the past before?
So I was toying with the idea of like this last TwitchCon was weird because I had a company paid for my lodging. I used a companion ticket to get my wife out there.
Okay.
And then most of my food was paid for in one form or another while I was out there. So I did like a week-long San Diego vacation with my wife.
Yeah.
For like $700.
That's a hell of a week.
And then I had 2 gigs while I was there. And it was the first time where I was like, shit, I may have made money at this con because I streamed this event, ironically. I did Rivals. And then I did a 3-hour set on the floor from Intel's booth.
Wow.
And
That's
gave
exciting.
me cash to do that. And so that was pretty cool. And it made me think, because I was going to go to TwitchCon Europe when there was a TwitchCon Europe. And I had booked the hotel and the flights and got the tickets and all that jazz. And I was like, here's how I'm going to offset this. I'm going to do some IRL streaming that's kind of peeled the curtain back. I wish I could have brought you guys with me, but here's some behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
And my team was going to go with me, and we were all going to do IRL streaming of like, hey, let's get drunk on good red wine. And, you know, then we'll go out and hit the town after we've let everybody kind of see where we're staying and what we're doing and highlights of the day. And so I don't do like a lot of IRL streaming, but that's what I was going to use to bridge the gap of feeling that anxiety of being completely separated from people for like a week at a stretch.
Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. That's I'm starting to travel, and I've been traveling a little bit here and there. When it comes to like cons such as like, you know, DreamHacks, all the DreamHacks I've streamed with, because I'm happily a partner with DreamHack, so I get the opportunity to stream at all of them, which is super fun. So I don't miss a whole lot of time whenever I'm at those. But when you talk about going to like the Twitch cons, whether it be US, EU, PAX, anything like that, obviously I don't have any affiliation. I don't have any strings to pull. I don't have anything like that. So I try and do some IRL streaming. But the thing is there is no replacement for you at your home setup.
It's hamburger when you want steak. Like it's just
that's exactly what it is. But now with that comes the opportunity to prove or to make more content that can, you know, be used across all forms of social media. You know, because it is a fun change of pace. But when you're gone for a week and you're at it for a week, you know, I get the feeling for me personally where people are like, fuck man, when are you gonna be home? Like I don't want an hour of this. I want the normal 6+ hours, you know.
It's there's a pretty good give and take that if you just kind of take the good with the bad on it. Like they're the same people who would say, man, I really hope you enjoy your time out of the office, are the same people that while you're boarding your flight are going, oh man, I'm lost without you streaming this morning. Anyway, travel safe, and I hope I know to see you when you come back whenever. And it's like, all right, well, thanks. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in airplane mode and get like 6 little whiskeys from the lady walking through the cabin.
Of course.
But then on top of that, like there's a validating measure of it. If you can go and use your time well, and like I'm not saying be the person who, you know, runs and photo bombs Lupo, but like, you know, if you document it well and you put it on social media and people see you with your friends, you do get a chance to get a photo op with some other people. They go, oh shit, I didn't even know those 2 people knew each other. It becomes validating that you exist within the space and that you fit as a puzzle piece in their grander sort of Twitch narrative. I'm definitely with that. And that's time well spent, I think. And then you come back and you have stories to tell, and you know.
I definitely agree with that. And you know, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about this whole aspect of streaming here within the past couple weeks, because we're taking like a U.S. trip. We had planned to take a trip to Japan. To Japan, obviously that's not going to happen for a hot minute. But so you know, we've been exploring the IRL streaming gear and what we can do and actually like maximize as much time out and about as possible while still being super engaging and super, you know, entertaining. Because like for me, I didn't get into streaming because I was good at any video game. I got into it because I was a class clown growing up. I always wanted to be the attention. I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to do whatever. So I'm here to be funny and just be who I am, which is dumb and an idiot, and it's fun. And so that's what we're trying to explore when it comes to the IRL side of streaming is, all right, how can we make this as interactive and entertaining as possible? What can we do? What equipment do we need? And just to try and replicate what it is being right here at this seat while we're out and about.
I was before the pandemic hit, and it suddenly got very hard to get anything for a production studio pulled together.
Dude, yeah.
I had another partnered friend that was in the process of trying to move up here from Florida, and he and I were planning out like cooking streams and campfire Q&As and stuff like that.
Absolutely,
and, my thing was like to do the IRL thing was not really even necessarily to take myself out into public and do anything goofy like that, but like just to get out of the office and go somewhere else in my house,
right?
And say this is going to be the same back and forth that we have when I'm playing The Binding of Isaac, but instead I'm going to sip whiskey next to a fire.
Yeah.
And we can bullshit like this. And honestly, if it's a third of you from the normal viewership who want to hang out, it's a third of you that want to hang out. But
right.
We were fiddling with stuff like that. Like I built a pergola in my backyard, and that was like a 13-hour stream where at the end,
Jesus,
they dubbed it. It was a deal. It was a deal made with one of my high rollers who said, I want to buy you a housewarming gift. What's a nutty thing that you want? But he's very Dr. Faustus, like it's very monkey paw. And so he's like, what do you want? And I was like, I don't know, man. I want a pergola in my backyard. And he goes, cool. Put it on Amazon's wish list and I'll buy it for you. And I was like, dude, it's like $1,300. He goes, yeah. And he goes, with professional assembly, it's $1,600, but I'm not getting that. I'm getting $1,300 for the pergola on the condition you build it on stream. So it's 13 hours, and by the end, they had dubbed it Sounds of the Suburban Dad Volume 1 because I was just groaning going up and down this A-frame ladder, just popping and groaning and straining, and it was awesome. And it wasn't like, I didn't like crush viewership numbers or anything, but it's one of the most memorable communal moments that we've had in the last year. So dude, and I want to do more of those.
I think those moments stick with you more than the crushing viewership goals moments, you know? Because I'm right there with you. I would much rather it be a super memorable moment than be like, oh my God, where am I at right now? You know?
Yeah.
What's actually going on?
Well, the irony is that I was doing well today. I had a nice little spike and had like 300 concurrents during Isaac today.
Right.
But it was still the same 50 people who always talk. So I had no idea. Like it caught me completely off guard because nothing felt different. And so if it's those 50 people with 50 concurrent viewers having that same memorable outdoor experience or moment where it's just like them saying like, OSHA would not approve of how you're straddling those two ladders right now. And I'm just like, it's fine.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
I'm only going to be able to fall like 7 feet onto a rock. It's fine. Don't even stress. Listen, I got to get this thing drilled. And they're like, all right, well, someone get ready to clip it.
Here we go. Hey, that's more and more content comes out of your pain.
Yeah, those people, those people are the diehards, and those are the people that you really got to get in the seat for because they're the ones that are going to show up day in and day out. Like those. If I pander to any group, it's like that diehard core. 30 to 100 viewers that are there, ride or die, no matter what you do.
Yep, that is a very big thing, man. You almost feel obligated to do your job more, to be there for those people that are gonna if they're gonna show up for me, I'm gonna show up for you. You know?
On the days that I feel like calling out sick, they're the reason I put ass in seat is because
absolutely
losing one of them is like losing 25, 30 concurrents off of a good day.
Same. So, isn't it crazy how in a real job, I say real job, in a corporate job, calling out, you wouldn't give a shit. I don't care.
Nope.
Bye. Get me out of this office.
I've got the days. I'll see you day after tomorrow.
Later, and would not care if you took an extra one. Does not matter. Whereas in this, it cuts you to the core. God. Yeah. It is. It's great. So what happened? Tell me about your wife. What happened with this whole break?
I was in the process of cratering a very successful Twitch channel. I was doing a very good job of running a very nice Twitch channel right into the ground.
Attaboy.
My first Twitch stream was to, I can't remember if it was 300 or 500 concurrents because I imported an audience from YouTube. So my first stream ever was like 300 to 500 concurrents watching me play Isaac 6 years ago. Dude, when there just wasn't the competition for it. So,
bro, 300 to 500 6 years ago might as well have been 10,000 today.
It was the bananas part is that to apply for sponsorship or partnership, to apply for partnership, you had to maintain over 500 concurrents on average, or have a 100,000 sub YouTube channel. And the first couple of times I applied, I got denied.
Oh my god!
Even with like 300 to 500 concurrents every time I went live, and a YouTube channel that at the time was over 100,000 subs, and they still were just like, nah, not yet.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy hell! Wow.
So I started in a place where I was very blessed and didn't know what I had, because at the time YouTube was taking off and Minecraft was making millionaires out of YouTubers.
Dude, God.
And we were like, the YouTube channel co-founder and he and I like were starting to taste that. Where suddenly this channel that was making $100 a month was on the verge of making like $100,000 in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having a bit of a messy split because his name was on everything and he was the face of the content, and it went the way that it was supposed to go. But I still needed a creative outlet. So I said, hey, everybody who joined us during the Call of Duty days and isn't interested in going to PG Minecraft, follow me to Twitch. And I just took everybody to Twitch with me.
PG Minecraft. Like, super family friendly. Hey guys, we're
fudge and heck. And
oh my
darn and
god,
gosh.
Kill me. Okay.
But that was the thing, is that a whole bunch of guys who became Minecraft millionaires threw that switch overnight because they saw that's where the money was. So they went from here's my 10 best roasts on Call of Duty. Like, here's all the different ways I fucked your mom. And then the next day it was, hey everybody, welcome to my Minecraft server. We're gonna have a hecking good time. And they did that overnight because they knew that's where the money was. Yeah. And it made most of them rich. Like, most of the guys that I buddied around with are, if not YouTube millionaires now, are making well into 6 figures a year.
Holy hell.
So I half, kind of jettisoned myself, and half was kind of thrown overboard and landed in Twitch and brought an audience with me. And I was convinced of my entitlement to basically do what I wanted to do. Like, people wanted to watch me play Isaac, and here we are 6 years later, and people still want to watch me play Isaac. I've got 6,000 hours in that game. Yeah, it's just the viewership for that game never dies. But I was convinced that I didn't want to be the Isaac guy, and I was not going to be constrained by that. So I had run myself down to, with inconsistency of schedule and changing games a bunch, I was down to like 35 concurrent viewers from the 300 to 500 range.
Dude, that's a big drop.
I was just running it into the ground.
Did that hurt? That had to have hurt, right?
It did, but I was so convinced that it was supposed to work the way I wanted it to work, because it looked like it had worked that way for other people, like Dan's Gaming and Cobalt and all these guys. Yeah. Like, well, they get to play whatever they want. Right. So where are my viewers for when I want to play it however I want? Oh, and also I'm going to take days off when I feel like taking days off. Was like another thought that I had. Like, but I don't never worked. Yeah, when I want to not show up, I'm just not going to show up, because I had friends that were doing that. I had other partner broadcasters that were just like, hey everybody, I'm just not in the right space for it today, so I'm going to take a couple days and we'll see you on Friday. And it seemed to work out okay for them. Yeah. So I was real kind of bitter about, like, well, why is this not just falling into place for me? Right. And then at one point, we were playing Fallout New Vegas, and my wife had just had our second son, and she had a lump, but we just were convinced it was a blocked mammary gland from breastfeeding. Okay. And so the place that did the biopsy of it said, come on down, we got your results. And she said, hey, come with me. And I was like, all right, guys, maybe I cancel stream. No Fallout New Vegas tonight. And we went, and we got the news that she had like aggressive stage 3 breast cancer. Holy shit. Just like that, like overnight, I went from, I didn't stream again for like 9 months, even like an update stream. My title stayed more Fallout New Vegas or something like that. for like almost a year was the title of my stream.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was just overnight. We were a cancer family. Like that was I went from like entrepreneur and entertainer to the next night, just like that was the thing that defined our family, was that we were a cancer family.
Jesus.
And that was just it. And so I was convinced. Well, like we look back on it now, and I mean, knock wood, but we look back on it now, and you know, it feels like, oh well, we must have always known we were going to come out of it okay. But for the year that we were in it, I wasn't convinced that I was not going to have to raise.
Not.
I thought I was going to have to raise my sons by myself.
Of course, yeah, dude, that's got to be going through your mind, especially when it's that high of a level. Like,
yeah, they just said it's very aggressive. It's very much breast cancer, and I just kept waiting for the like the other shoe to drop, and then the other shoe didn't drop. They were just like, so let's talk about starting treatment. I was like, oh, there's no silver lining. We're just kind of screwed. Oh, okay. So I took it way worse than she did. She was like holding my hand and comforting me because I was coming apart. Wow. Oh yeah. She said it is breast cancer, and my head just went white static. Like I just heard loud static fuzz.
Right.
And just started to like shake. So, yeah, I was convinced that was it, and that I wasn't going. I mean, I'm going to go play Fallout New Vegas the next day and be like, "Hey, everybody, we had a little bit of a setback, but we're getting right in here and grind out these side quests."
God, that's such a hard, dude. I don't know that I could ever do that.
Yeah, so you know, I came back when we were ready to tell people about it, and I told the community. And somewhere I've got a screen grab of the Facebook post that was just like, "Hey, I know you guys have been wondering why no streams. Yeah. Here's why. Don't know what's going to happen. See you guys on the other side. Thank you for everything if this is it."
Right.
Yeah, but she beat it, and it sucked. It was a shitty year. It was a pretty miserable year. It gave 2020 a run for its money.
Really?
It was bad. Yeah, it was key. Like,
well, I know it's no walk in the fucking in the flowers.
So at the same time, I was streaming. I was launching a music label. Mm-hmm. My wife got breast cancer. She started chemotherapy. So we did in that year. We did chemotherapy. So there was a surgery to put a shunt in her heart. Chemo, of course, like her losing her hair, her feeling run down all the time, me trying to figure out where I could help with all the around the house chores and everything.
Right.
A double mastectomy. She beat it. Radiation, reconstructive plastic surgery, and then all the other like crazy there's little bits and bobs they don't tell you about.
Right.
Like you can watch The Fault in Our Stars and it'll give you an idea. But like they sit you down and have a conversation with you where they say, if during the super sexy process of chemotherapy and radiation sickness and all this jazz, you guys decide you want to get down, treat it as though she has an STD and wear a condom and limit the amount of skin to skin contact because her blood is toxic to you now. Because chemo is just them pumping her full of poison and hoping it kills the right things.
Oh my God.
And so they were like, yeah, if you guys decide to have sexual contact, wear a condom because her touching you will be toxic to you.
My God.
Like that's the kind of stuff that like, you know, you don't anticipate having to
of course
feel
not.
that kind of stuff.
No.
So
I didn't know that was the thing. You just brought that to light to me.
I had no idea. When she got done with her surgeries, like the mastectomy, she had like drainage bags, like tubes that came out of her body. It was like a Resident Evil boss, like just tubes that came out of her body to like these pouches.
You can't. That's your wife. You can't say that.
I mean,
I get it.
It's the fastest way I can make people see it in their heads. Like imagine you're playing Resident Evil 7, and then all of a sudden somebody who looks like my wife runs out. She's just got tubes and bags everywhere. And you got to like sit there and like milk these tubes to get all this like weird sinewy pink goop out during the recovery process. And
Jesus.
It was brutal.
You've got kids at this time.
Yeah, both of them.
And kids.
Yeah, we got the news that night and then broke down with the nurses watching them so that we could have privacy to have basically a mental breakdown.
Right.
And then gathered ourselves, went outside, got the boys, went and got McDonald's because we still had to feed them.
Right.
And then we went through the process of like brushing their teeth and washing their hair and getting them into jammies and getting them stories read. And then we put them to bed. And then we went and huddled in a ball and cried in the living room floor. But we had to gather ourselves.
Yeah, you had to be parents.
Long enough.
Right.
Yeah, we had to be parents first, and we didn't want the kids to see that. So we had to rally.
God, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to tell the kids that story one day?
Oh, I mean, they get it. I treat my sons like 35-year-old roommates. Like they, we sit down and watch the nightly news. They're better informed on coronavirus than half the adults in this neighborhood. like when neighborhood kids try to come into our yard and ask them to play, my sons are just you have to maintain 6-foot social distancing. Dr. Fauci also said that's not how you wear your mask. And I was just like,
yeah, let's go, baby. Let's go.
That's my boys.
Yeah.
So it was the same thing. We explained cancer to them early and they didn't get it. And we didn't need them to get it, but we needed to be honest about like, there's something trying to hurt your mom and we don't know what the outcome will be, but we're fighting the bad sickness that's hurting your mom. And we're going to do everything we can to beat it. But yeah, now that they're older, now that they've seen a couple of movies, now that they've seen like Guardians of the Galaxy starts off with Quill and his mom bald headed and all that kind of stuff. And they see that like Quill's mom doesn't make it. Yeah. That starts to register and they go, wait, is that why mom? And I was like, yes, that's why mom had no hair. And he's like, but Quill's mom died. And I was like, yours nearly did. And it goes like that because they put themselves in like Quill's position. Yeah. So like that, it started to land on them. And one day, I'm sure we'll have a more in-depth conversation, but we never hit it from the beginning. Right. So.
But I mean, first of all, it's amazing that she beat it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, what a fucking nightmare of a road that had to have been. You said could give 2020 a run for its money, and from what you just told me, I believe it. Like that
was a tough year.
Without a question. And it's so important in this industry, and one of the things that I think that goes super overlooked is having somebody, a partner, somebody that you share, your life with in your corner. It's such an important person to have with you on your team all the time, and to have that, that possibly ripped away from you is terrifying. No. Not only in the industry side of things, obviously, but dude, just all the way across the board, especially with everything that you have going on with the kids, a full family and a job and everything to deal with. God, that's such an insane and super scary thought to have as someone like me who's never been through it. Like that.
There were definitely a handful of days where like she'd take them out to take them to school, and I would just like, bye, honey. You guys have a nice day at school. The moment they were out of sight, I'd just collapse on the office floor and just sob into the carpet. God, it was bad. It was a bad year. It ended up being a good year, but it was a very hard year, and it was a year filled with. You think the uncertainty of losing viewers is bad? Like, oh man, what if I don't hit my sub goal tomorrow? Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? It could be worse.
It definitely could. It definitely could. But so talk with me. We don't have too much time left, but I want to talk with you about the comeback. So sure. Tell me when the day finally came where you were like, hey, all right, I'm comfortable now. I'm ready to jump into it. Let's get back to it. What was how'd that whole thing go down?
Oh, dude, this story warms my heart, and I'm kind of a calloused old bastard at this point. So after a year of not streaming, I didn't tell anybody I was coming back, because if I came back and nobody showed up, or if I came back and I just didn't remember how to do it,
right?
I was.
What a crush!
I didn't want to make sense. Yeah, like right now, Doc's hinting at coming back, and people give a shit. But if I was just like dropped like a social media post with an illusion, they're like, "What? I forgot I was following this guy." Unfollow. And so, like, I was very low key about it, and showed up, and within minutes of going live for the first time in a year, had like 150 some odd concurrents, and realized that I still had 60 people whose subs were still active a year later.
Every month, keeping it going.
Yep. And
shit.
when I logged in, the little OBS counter said sub count 60, and I went, well, when's that going to update? And I kept waiting for it to update, and then all these notifications, people started coming in saying, how's your wife? Holy crap, I can't believe you're live. And I was like, why are so many of you still subbed?
Yeah.
I told you guys I wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we didn't know how to help. Like, you weren't making content, and this is the only way we knew how to put money in your pocket.
Right.
So we just kept our subs active.
Holy hell.
So that was it. That was the big heartwarming gesture. Was I logged in for the first time in a year after telling these people I wasn't making content anymore, and still had 60 active subs.
Holy hell.
So,
That's incredible, man. Like that, again, that goes back to showing, I mean, obviously not only the community that you built while you were doing the things that you did, but also shows, it also reflects extremely positive on who you are as a human being, and not a piece of shit, like,
right.
Like, and I feel like if you're who you are, both on and off screen, for the most part,
sure.
I mean, again, you can't be hype up all the time, but people will follow that, and people will recognize that early on and really attach, because people want to be a part of that, man. People don't want to be a part of the dog shit. They don't want to be a part of the, oh, well, this person's just here for whatever. I'm here to just meme in the chat, whatever. And granted, there are those people, but for the most part, generally speaking, people want to be a part of something. This is their home away from home, their family that they, might not have,
Yeah.
So it's awesome, man. That's crazy to hear, and it's fascinating. I love hearing stuff like this. Like, this is crazy.
That was real heartwarming. That was there are still people, if you see somebody, I guess right now it's people who have 64-month subs. That's something like that, 64, 65-month subs.
Those were the people that were there for
those
that
are the
year.
People. They get a very special welcome that is verbose, where I spare nothing. I'll stop the run and say, you had my back when Amber was sick.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the shit out of you, and I want you to know that here in front of everybody watching, that you guys are because a lot of them have had to drop off since then. So even out of that original 60, there's maybe 2 or 3. I still see a handful of my founders badges, which is weird.
Yeah,
being
with that
almost 6 years partnered.
6 years
I still
partnered.
see founders. Yeah, that's 5 years this last spring, so like 5.5 years partnered.
Holy hell, that's so crazy.
Yeah, so I still see like founders badges come in from time to time, but there's only probably like 12.5, maybe 24 people that are still at like that 60 some odd month.
Yeah,
that have never broken it from like the day one of getting subscribed, and have just kept it the whole time.
God, that's so crazy.
It's humbling.
It definitely is, man. It without question is. One thing, like I said, we don't have too much time before you got to go be an adult, but I have a question for me personally that I feel like not a lot of people really get to hear the other side of. And it sparked whenever you said you just signed a contract with Twitch, right?
Back in May, I think.
Back in May, you just signed a contract with Twitch. For the people that, like me, that don't know the back end of that thing, of what that means, can you give me a quick, brief description of what it means to be signed with Twitch? Like, how does it all come about? Who do you get in contact with them? Do they get in contact with you? Like, what kind of happens with that?
I am very limited in what I can say.
That's what I figured. I meant to preface that with.
But I'll give you what I can.
Okay, yeah, you can tell me to fuck off too. By the way, I hope you know.
I would have no problem if I thought it was going to put me in a weird pinch. Yeah. But I got a little fussy. When they were like, all right, don't say much. And I was like, well, I'm a guy who's built on like sincerity. Like,
yeah,
my chat knows what my first sexual experience was like. Like, I'm not a guy who hides things. Yeah. Like my food sponsor, heard about my last proctological exam. So like,
I looked into that the meat company.
Sogo, yeah, baby.
Give them a shout out, because I almost bought one of their packs, man. They look really good.
SogoSnacks.com. Use code Taffy10. They're a mom and pop operation out of Iowa, and they're so I don't know why I like jerky, but bark jerky gets stuck in my teeth.
Same. Same.
And so I started looking for like high quality meat sticks and like bars and stuff.
Right.
And I did a bunch, and some of them were okay, and some of them were like kind of ghastly, like they were really salty, or like, hey, we're
Yeah.
gonna throw cranberries and mint in this, and I was like, that's gross.
Yikes. Yeah.
So these were really good, and
They seem to be pretty healthy for you too. I mean, there's no like as far as most
as
beef
far
jerky
as salted
goes.
meat stacks go, yeah.
Yeah.
There's 90 calories, no nitrates, no nitrites, grass-fed beef.
Yeah.
Little mom and pop shop out of Iowa.
That's so
the more I
rad.
know of them, the cooler they seem to be. So they we emailed them to try to get sponsored, and I just liked the product. Like, I didn't need the sponsorship, which is like a real first world problem to have. But I had a sponsorship slot open up, and I was just like, I want to replace it with something comparable that it's about the same amount of effort. And I was like, God, I've really been crushing these meat sticks. I was like, I'll reach out to them. And they didn't read the email. It just sat in their inbox. And then at one point I was like, well, I'm going to sell these things whether they sponsor me or not. So guys, this is like the best thing. I love these things so much. And a bunch of people went and ordered them.
Yeah.
And they put in the notes, they were like, hey, I came from this guy's Twitch channel.
Check
and
your email.
Yeah, like the dude showed up because he did like 8 sales in 20 minutes. And he's like, all referencing the Twitch channel. So he showed up in Twitch and goes, I have a couple of questions. One, he's like, hi, I'm Sogo. One, who are you? And 2, what is Twitch?
What is this? Yeah, that's what I was
And he was
expecting.
just like, anybody who orders from this weird place where this balding middle-aged man's playing video games, use this code and get 20% off. And then he did like another 20 sales in the next hour. And he was like, he wrote in chat, he went and found the email and came back and just typed in, I'll sponsor you in all caps, was all he wrote. Like he didn't negotiate or anything. He just came back and in chat just goes, I'll sponsor you. And
That's
I was just
awesome.
like,
yeah, perfect.
done and done, man. Love it. The Twitch thing was, to my knowledge, I'm the smallest channel they've offered it to.
Right.
Some of that I think was my viewership bought me clout.
Okay.
So at one point, the same guy who bought me the pergola decided on a whim that he had committed himself to sub every wrench in Twitch to my channel, thinking there would be like 100, maybe.
Yeah. Turns out there was how many?
It was like 1,500. It was like 1,500 wrenches. But he wasn't.
For people who are listening that don't know who wrenches are, this Twitch staff. It's all Twitch staff.
Twitch staff who have accounts that they use to go online have a wrench next to their name that identifies them as a member of Twitch staff in the chat client.
Right.
And so somebody provided us a list and said, here's all the current Twitch staff wrenches. It's 1,500 people. And he went, all right, well, let's get started. And he went through and did them one at a time over 2 days. Oh, it was Christ. 2 days of just my sub notification going off about like this.
Jesus Christ.
And so at the very end of it, I put out a tweet and was just like, it's not often you can say you did something that was the first on Twitch, but me and this high roller champion have subbed every known Twitch staff on the entire platform to the channel. Welcome, everybody.
Dude, what a legend, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No, somebody released a tweet where they did some sort of data scraper, and he's the #1 sub gifter on the entire platform in the world. And he leads #2 by a couple thousand.
Holy fuck, dude. That's crazy.
He is a dude who enjoys a good meme.
Yeah, I guess so.
So like little things like that, Twitch Twitch doesn't know about me. Twitch knows about my chat.
Right. Okay.
My chat lives as its own separate entity. We're like a Gemini. We're like yin and yang.
Yeah, okay.
Like, you got to take me if you want to get my chat to come with me. So I'm the smallest channel that I know of that they've given this to.
And by the way, you're by no means a small channel. I just want to throw that out there.
No, I agree.
But in overall, when you think when you think of people getting signed, you're thinking of like Nick Merckx, Tim, like all these massive people.
Tim, Nick Merckx, like I think Ann Ammunition. If she didn't sign, I'd be shocked.
Same.
Lupo. Like these are the people you think of. The people who are on signage at the con. Those are the people who are getting contracts. So it was they knew of me. and my manager said, "Hey, do you want me to lobby for one of those contracts for you?" And he might as well have said, "Do you want me to lobby for a shoe deal?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Give me a car sponsor while you're at it." I was like, "Yeah, if you think you can do that, absolutely, I'd love that. That'd be great." Wink. And then I hung up the call, and he came back to me and goes, "Yeah, that thing might happen." And I was like, "What are you talking about? That thing might happen?" And then my partner manager, who is awesome, I've been blessed with very good partner managers, and one not great one, but it wasn't for very long.
Are those just given to you?
My first partner manager was Pluto, who is borderline on the Twitch Mount Rushmore statue at this point.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
I have emails from Pluto from like 6 years ago that was like, "Hey, my name's Brad. I go by Pluto. I want to welcome you as a new Twitch partner. If there's anything I can do, like I'd love to feature you on some front page." I turned down front page time from him in an email.
What are you doing?
I was in the email I wrote, I'm convinced I'm not ready for that kind of exposure. I knew I wasn't ready. I turned down front page time back in like 2016, 2015.
I could murder you right now. I could murder you.
Oh my God. The things like, people talk about the hypotheticals. Like, if you could go back and talk to your older self, like to your younger self, and I was like, I'd slap the shit out of you.
Dude,
Don't send me back there.
I want to punch you right now.
I'll hurt that kid. I'll hurt that kid so bad. But yeah, like Pluto was my first partner manager. And then I got shifted to a different partner manager who's not with them anymore, who basically ignored me. And I was like, this is my process of being like shifted off to the wasteland.
Right.
Like, this is them sending me off to Siberia, and that's fine. I was like, I'll make my own way and I'll tend my own garden, and it'll be okay. Then he left the company, and they gave me Scintilla, who is Pluto's fiance.
Oh,
and
wow.
So that worked out really well for me, because I already had some like common shared stories that I could play around with and get to know her. And she's real memey and hands-on and awesome, which was the opposite of what I'd experienced with this middle guy for a while.
The Serbia guy.
Right, the guy who was just like, "We're setting you off to pasture there, old fella." And I was like, "All right, I appreciate the help for the previous years. Tell Pluto I said I think he's great."
Yeah.
So Scintilla came to me and was just like, "Hey, I got to talk to you, and I got to talk to you soon." And so we jumped into a call, and she was like, "Your manager and I have been talking. Would you be interested in signing?" And I was like, "I sure would."
Yeah,
like,
I mean, of course.
I tried. So I was shaking. Like, I was trying to play the call
big
cool.
Deal,
I was
bro. This
I was like, walk me through the specifics. Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds. Is there any flexibility? I didn't care what she said.
Hell
like,
no, it doesn't matter.
Any flexibility on? No. Okay. You're hard set on that. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then I walked outside and I told my wife, and like we went downstairs and popped champagne, and we're just like,
dude, this is like going to the major leagues. You're like, you just signed to the pros. Like you signed to a major that's awesome. Of course you're gonna celebrate.
To put it into perspective, for those people who are just like, "Oh, well, he got Tim money, right?" So Jameson's talking to a millionaire now. This is like, the Cowboys called me and signed me to the practice squad. Technically, like, I'm not Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott. I'm the guy they beat up on.
Right, to get practice in.
Right. I walk out there and go, "Hey, everybody, what's going on? I'm the starting defense from the San Francisco 49ers. And they go, sure you are.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah.
You try your best."
Sure thing,
and I'm like,
champ.
"I will."
Yeah.
But, like those practice squad guys, like, they have houses and they have cars, and that's their job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a pretty big deal. And that just means that, for the next 2 years, I would hate to see it, but for the next 2 years, if I weren't to get another bit or sub or, cash tip or anything like that, I'll still keep my head above water.
Yeah, you're still good to go. That's awesome.
It's the opposite of that, 3 years ago story of just like, "Oh yeah, I was 6 weeks away from slamming into the side of the mountain and being completely financially destitute."
Right. Yeah.
In my mid-30s with no marketable skills. With a family. They're looking at me like, "We trust father to figure it out." And I'm just like, "Well, father bankrupted you, and now I'll be your." Yeah, I'm gonna go be a Walmart greeter now.
Yeah.
So
Jesus, man, that's so insane. And man, truly, I'm happy for all the success. That's awesome. I did not know that you signed to Twitch. That's amazing.
Yeah, in May.
And having it be so so recent, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know we're already long past your dead stop, and I'm sorry about that, but
No worries.
I really do. We'll wrap it up right here. I really and truly am very appreciative to have you on the podcast, especially because I'm so new at this whole podcasting thing. And it's been awesome to talk with you, dude. I could sit here for like 3 more hours and pick your brain about shit that's
I'll come
going on.
back.
I hope so.
We'll do it again.
I would definitely love to have you back again. Where can the people find you at, man? Where can we follow you?
Twitch.tv/McLaffyTaffy, and I'm on in the mornings. So if if you're being derelict in your work duties, if you currently are jonesing for a Binding of Isaac fix, or in the early afternoon, if you're just like, I want to see some 40-year-old dude try not to look awkward playing Persona 5. Because the protagonist is like 16 and the love interests are like 14. The old woman in that game is 24.
They're all like, woman?
The woman who calls herself old is 24, and they're like prancing around in swimsuits. And they're like, who are you going to date? And I was just like, I feel weird about all of this.
This is bad.
It's a fun game, but it's like, if I role play too hard, people get freaked out. But if I completely withdraw, and I'm just like, all these kids need to get jobs and educations and get clothed. Then that's if you want to watch somebody. I dated the oldest person at 24 in that game just because I was just like, this is the least awkward for me. I'm old enough to literally be this character's father, but sure, let's waifu this one.
Jesus Christ.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that Monday through Saturday, all the live long day, especially during COVID. People tell me not to try not to burn out. And I'm just like, where am I going to go, and what else am I going to do right now?
Exactly.
So I might as well make hay while the sun shines and do this where I feel like I can box everything else out, and put one foot in front of the other.
I definitely feel that. Well, listen, there'll be links to everything, all your social media, and obviously your Twitch, and just about everywhere you can find, including your music service. I know we didn't get to touch on that real quick. Just throw that out there in the universe. What do you got?
Sure. I am co-founder of the music label 99 Lives, and I am co-founder of the streaming music service PRETZEL, which just did a big old update, which I believe is at beta.pretzel.rocks.
Okay.
We just added so if you know what? I'm going to carve off a piece of my own hard stop because this is important.
Okay, tell me. Yeah, tell me.
If you don't want DMCA strikes on your music,
which is a big thing right now, man. Big issue.
3 DMCA strikes, and they don't tell you. Like, Twitch is really obscure about how this works. Is it if somebody issues 3 DMCA strikes in a single day against me, is my channel just banned? Is it 3 separate strikes from 3 separate entities? Is it 3 strikes on 3 different days? Like, there's no hard and fast rule on that.
Right.
And the last round of strikes that went out was from clips from 2017. So it's like there's no statute of limitations on it. So if you want music that is legally proofed and all of the proper licenses have been signed over so that people will not DMCA strike you, PRETZEL does that for you. For the longest time, we had a few thousand songs, and people would say, even though we had a multiplier of Monster Cat's catalog, they'd say, well, the music's too limited. There's not enough music. They're in the process now, like they just dropped tens of thousands. Oh, there's thunder back there. Tens of thousands of new tracks with 800,000 tracks on the way.
Holy shit.
Dude, so it used to be like there were like a dozen different categories that were all some variant of EDM.
Yeah.
Where it was just like chiptune and upbeat chiptune
trap
and synthwave
all
and
kind
real
of weird shit.
Synthwave and drum and bass. And that was what it used to be. And as of this week, we rolled out like 41 categories of songs, including classical, jazz, blues, folk, country. I think even like Christian rock is on the way.
Hey.
Holiday music is on the way.
Get a little bit of skillet in there. Let's go.
Yeah, so that's ultimately like the dream that we had when we started this company like 4 years ago, of this just being like the Spotify for streamers, is starting to finally like blossom.
Yeah.
It just took us almost 6 figures in legal fees and 3-ish years to figure out how the law applied to Twitch, because no laws have been written that apply specifically to live streaming.
Dude, you got to be dedicated, bro.
So it took us, it was me and a buddy, the same buddy who said I should come back to streaming. It was me and a buddy who said, you know what, if you're not going to stream, Taffy, let's build companies that solve problems for streamers. And I was like, that sounds great.
Yeah, it does.
He's a very smart software guy. He's a coder. And so he has a magical skill of just like taking computer program and making it do things that people wish the magic box of computers would do for them. And he can just make that happen.
Dude,
and so
God, that's priceless.
We started with music. That was going to be the first thing we were going to tackle. Okay. And then it turned into a 5-year project, because the music label was the first effort. And now the player catalog is the second more accessible effort, where we're just like, that the catalog and everything was great. Monster Cat had done it. NCS had done it. Yeah. We did it pretty well, and it still makes money, and there's still a lot of really good music on it. But it was good for like YouTubers who needed one song for 1 2-minute video.
Yep.
Live streamers live for 12 hours in a stretch.
Yeah.
100 songs, 200 songs doesn't do them any good.
Of course not.
So we realized that we couldn't just go and procure all the rights to hundreds of thousands of songs, because artists just weren't going to give that away.
Of course
and so
not.
it took us a long time to figure out. It took us a long time, and like 5 or 6 lawyers over years, and over 6 figures in legal fees to figure out what questions to even ask.
Jesus Christ.
You'd have lawyers who understood music but didn't understand Twitch. You'd have lawyers who understood Twitch but didn't understand music. You'd have lawyers who understood synchronization in television but didn't understand how it applied to the other two.
Right.
And so it was just us playing Frankenstein's monster with all these like pieces of legal trying to figure out the right stuff.
Yeah.
But by God, we built it. It exists and it's out there. There are free tiers to use, and we're scaling out premium features that if you want to listen to music that's not in game, or if you don't want to sit in dead silence or risk just having your channel struck down, I in a year or so it feels to me like it's the default option now, but I think in about a year or so it'll just be synonymous with like, oh well, if you listen to music while you stream, clearly it comes from Pretzel.
Yeah, and you know, I've heard I'm already starting to hear that already. So yeah, that is an awesome thing to already be having said about your company.
I honestly think that we're responsible for a lot of the cleared misconceptions about DMCA strikes in general, because 3 years ago, people would say, well, why is Twitch doing this to their own content creators? Mm-hmm. And we'd go, dude, it's not Twitch. And now 3 years later, you have people going, well, Twitch has to protect their safe harbor status, but I don't understand why these music creators can't get on the same page as streamers. Right. And man, we really need legal reform. And like, that's where the conversation is. And a lot of that was us just every time this would happen, marching out and going, it's not Twitch. Yeah, Twitch isn't just picking on people. Like,
it's really not. Yeah.
You're like, you're right. Absolutely. There needs to be music to play, but it's not as simple as that. Like, Drake doesn't have permission to give Ninja permission to play his music.
Of course not. That doesn't fall under his.
It belongs to like 30 different people, including Drake. Yeah. But like, yeah, it's like 30 different people and publishers and rights holders and the label. They all have a piece, and kind of like they all have to say yes.
Yeah.
So we built that, and it exists, and it's getting it's gaining the kind of momentum that makes me giggly as a person who's watched this thing from like the first player was like a Geos. I was Pretzel's first customer, and so my viewership were the first people to hear what we had, and it was like a GeoCities page. This first player that we had was a web page.
Yeah.
And it was just like play, stop, and skip song, and it was a couple hundred songs from music creators that we knew, that we trusted not to sue us because we didn't have any legal. Yeah. And we were just like, can we monetize a thing using your music? Right now, we're just going to build the player, and we need something in the catalog. And a whole bunch of our friends who were music creators were just like, yeah, sure, I won't sue you. Go ahead and put it in there.
Nice.
And so that's where it started. And now, like, I know some behind the scenes stuff that I don't think I'm able to talk about, but
just lay it out there. Lay it out there.
Mainstream music creators are working with like names you've heard of.
Right.
are in meetings with Pretzel trying to figure out how to get their mainstream music in front of streamers. It may take time, but I got one name in particular that if I said it, you would. You
should just say it.
I can't. I can't say it.
I think it'd be okay.
I can't do it.
I
can't do it.
Okay, whatever.
I want desperately to do it. This is the kind of thing that I've been sitting on. Let's see. You know what? I tell you what. When I go, hold on. Let me see if I can drop a breadcrumb.
I like breadcrumbs, bro. I'll follow them.
Let me. Yeah, this like I'll do this. While I do this, like outro us, and I'll pull this together.
Okay, cool. So all right, so follow Old Man Laffy on all social medias. Obviously on his Twitch live at 8 a.m. every day in that seat until 3 p.m. Make sure you guys check out Pretzel. Without question, apparently going to be the future of copyright free, DMCA free music and actual good music, which is rare because the NCS and some of the other stuff that gets played, the majority of the time, like whenever I think about it, I'm like, there's a reason why this shit's copyright free is because it's trash. Like it's not good for the most part. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited about this breadcrumb, which it looks like you've got prepared and ready. So let's get it. What do we got?
I won't say that I won't follow you on the NCS road because NCS is in Pretzel. So if you enjoy no copyright sound music, it's available to you.
Perfect.
That's Tom. Tom works on Pretzel.
Nice.
Tom's bio is that he is the COO of Pretzel. He is the director of Catalyst Artist Management, and he is a former member of the crew over at Owsla with Skrillex.
Jesus. God, he's got a background, huh?
So that's people in mainstream music are finding their way over to Pretzel.
Yeah.
People want to come because Ninja's blown it up. Ninja among others et al. But Ninja and Tim and Lupo and the Doc and Nick Merckx and all these guys, Courage, have blown it up, and now the mainstream media is starting to take notice and trying to figure out how to conquer streaming. And,
that gets me
frankly,
hyped, man.
Yeah, nobody's been able to do it. Like Monster Cat had a 24/7 streaming service, but they had a limited catalog.
Right. Yeah.
NCS used to have a streaming channel, and they might still, but it never really garnered much of a, you used to have to keep their tab open and have it playing in the background on a different Chrome tab, and you had no real control over anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are other people that want to shoehorn themselves into the industry, but they just have no idea where to even begin.
Yeah.
And so now we've built that conduit. So It's just kind of here's that audience. If you promise not to legally guillotine them,
bring us down. Yeah.
Right. As long as you don't incite the musical French Revolution, we will bring you an insanely valuable direct line to millions of sets of ears every month, and all you got to do is not be a dick about it.
Yeah, not be a dick, dude. That makes.
And the important thing to note too is that for the most part, for every dollar that we make on Pretzel, the majority of it goes back to the artists.
That's great to hear too, because I feel like that's definitely a rare thing.
Well, that's why they play ball with us. Is so let's say something so let's say you can do. We're in the process of with the beta. It's a little sawdust on the floor, but with the beta, song requests have been phased out for a little bit. But with the legacy player, we had song requests for the longest time, and the way that it was set up, and I can't remember the exact statistics off the top of my head, but it's pretty close. Is that 80% of it went to the broadcaster? So if somebody requested a song in my chat for $1, 80 cents went to me, 16 cents went to the artist, and 4 cents went to Pretzel.
Right. Okay.
So we kept it really low for us, and frankly that 80-20 split was the Twitch decided that number by saying no extension's going to take more than 20% away from the broadcaster.
Right. Okay.
Well, normally it's for I made a version of Flappy Bird that you control with bits, and then that full 20% goes to the person who made scuffed Flappy Bird.
Yeah.
But for us, it's we have this whole network that lives outside that one pinhole where it's
Right.
just like, oh, well, we have artists and labels and all this kind of stuff, and we had to make sure that it gets paid out appropriately. So we built all that on the other side of the pinhole. And it's the same thing with the monthly subscriptions, and it's based on who's getting played the most and who's filling up
Right.
the most time on the pretzel player. Those
course,
people see
which makes
significant
sense.
returns.
Yeah,
That's
makes sense.
Miracle of Sound, Approaching Nirvana. A lot of these guys who were
Holy
with us,
hell.
Big Giant Circles, like all these guys who know the space and gave us music really early on. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it made them rich, but I will say that they were happy to just say, yeah, I'll sign this one pager that says Nate and Ryan Taffy won't screw us. And in return, I'll get some money for music that's already being played on Twitch because I
Yeah.
told people it was kosher anyway.
Right.
And then all of a sudden a check for a couple $100 shows up and they go, oh,
Got some beer
Yeah.
money. Beer money, a little dinner. Let's go. Yeah. Cool with that.
So, like, the people who are really crushing it as popular artists on Pretzel, as of right now are seeing, nice dinner night checks coming in every month or so, or
Hell
every
yeah.
quarter or so.
That's awesome.
So
Which
it's
is-
better than nothing for sure.
I was
And,
about to say, which is better than anything I would have expected. That's for sure.
yeah, we're in the process of trying to figure out how to ramp that up. So
Awesome. Well, cool, man. Well, listen, dude, we are long past your stop sign.
that's okay.
And dude, again, I truly, again, from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate you having on. It was awesome. I definitely want to have you back on because I could talk to you for another 2.5 hours about
of course, man.
literally everything. I feel like we just scratched the surface, but again, it does mean a lot. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate you a lot.
Pleasure's mine.
All right, bud. Thanks, man. Thanks,
Holy
everybody.
shit.
Yeah, same. It's same here, dude.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go before this